The Cipher Awakens, Modern Discovery. 2 centuries after Washington lit his 13 fires, a team of archaeologists unearthed something beneath Yorktown that shouldn't have existed. A vault sealed in wax. Inside it, a candle still burning. 1. The Dig Beneath Yorktown, 2021. Yorktown, Virginia. Summer heat shimmered across the archaeological site near the old battlefield. Dr. Elena Brooks, historian and cryptologist from Boston University, stood over a square pit as her students brushed away layers of clay and brick. They were restoring remnants of an 18th century tunnel, one believed to have been used during the siege of 1781. At first, they expected only broken pottery, musket balls, and tools. Then one student shouted, "Dr. Brooks, there's something down here. Stone, with markings." Elena knelt. Carved into the slab was an unfamiliar emblem, a serpent coiled around a candle. She froze. She had seen it before, and a letter George Washington wrote in 1782, preserved in the Library of Congress. The so-called Light of Liberty seal. "Get me the 3D scanner." As the dust cleared, a faint Latin phrase appeared around the sigil. Lux et veritas, sub libertate lumen. Light and truth, beneath liberty, the light. Her assistant whispered, "Could it be the vault?" Elena didn't answer. Her pulse raced.
2 days later, at midnight, the team lifted the slab. A rush of cold air escaped, carrying a faint scent of wax and smoke, impossible for a chamber sealed for over 240 years. The flashlight beams revealed a narrow staircase spiraling downward, walls slick with limestone and old candle soot. They descended in silence. At the bottom stood a small circular chamber, the air thick with centuries of stillness. In the center, upon a cracked marble pedestal, lay a sealed iron sphere. Etched across its surface, E.T., 1774. "Elias Turner," Elena whispered, "the Candleman." Her assistant asked, "Is this the cipher?" Elena nodded slowly. "If it's real, this could change everything we know about the revolution." She brushed the dust away and saw faint symbols circling the base. 13 small flames carved around a single central sun. 3. The opening. Back in her temporary lab, Elena and her team carefully heated the wax seals around the orb. When the final layer softened, the lid clicked open. Inside was a scroll of parchment, astonishingly preserved. They unrolled it under infrared light. At first it appeared blank, but as the heat intensified, lines of invisible ink began to emerge, faint, looping, geometric. A circle of 13 interlocking arcs bound by a web of mathematical ratios. Below it, a line of code. 13 equals 1. Liberty is the geometry of light. Elena stared. She recognized the formula structure, part of a cipher used by Benjamin Franklin in his private correspondences with French scientists in 1778. "Franklin's cipher, and something more," she murmured. "This is an equation of unity." 4. The geometry of freedom. Days passed. Elena's lab became a map of madness, sketches of orbits, notes on optics, pages of Franklin's experiments in electricity pinned to the walls. She noticed something uncanny. The diagram on Turner's parchment mirrored the layout of the original 13 colonies. Each flame aligned perfectly with a colony's capital when plotted on an 18th century map. And at their center, Philadelphia. "The one light," she whispered. "The Union was designed this way." Her discovery went beyond politics. It hinted that the Founding Fathers may have used sacred geometry and coded language to symbolize unity, both philosophical and literal. The candle cipher wasn't just a spy code. It was a blueprint for the Republic itself. V. The Hidden Manuscript. That night, as Elena reviewed Turner's parchment under ultraviolet light, she noticed another faint layer of writing beneath the visible ink. It was written in a ciphered script, similar to Franklin's polyalphabetic code. When she decoded it, a single phrase emerged. "Seek the flame that burns without air." She frowned. The phrase matched a 1779 experiment by Franklin's friend, the chemist Joseph Priestley, who discovered oxygen and famously described a flame that lived beyond the air. Elena cross-referenced Priestley's letters. One passage leapt out. "My friend Franklin writes of a society of light keepers who believe liberty itself is a form of pure illumination." Her heart pounded. It wasn't myth. The Candlemen were real. A secret network of scientists and patriots preserving the Enlightenment's most radical idea. The truth and liberty are not born of blood, but of knowledge. VII. The Vault's Second Layer. Returning to the Yorktown site, Elena's team searched for more chambers. Ground-penetrating radar revealed a second cavity, smaller, deeper, sealed under a layer of lead. When they opened it, they found a chest, wooden, half-rotted, but lined with beeswax to preserve its contents. Inside were several glass vials filled with a dark tar-like residue and a single metal plate engraved with binary-looking marks. Elena realized these weren't numbers. They were early electrical notations.
Franklin's. On the back, a carved inscription read, "The nation will live when light travels through wire, not wax." She laughed in disbelief. Electricity! They predicted the future of communication. Franklin's experiments had inspired more than kites. They'd inspired the philosophy of invisible connection. The Candlemen had foreseen a world united not by monarchy or army, but by transmission of light, energy, knowledge, liberty itself. The Cipher Reborn. News of the discovery spread quietly through academic circles, but before the Smithsonian could claim the artifacts, the U.S. government intervened, citing national heritage security. The orb, scroll, and vials were confiscated. Elena was ordered to sign a non-disclosure agreement. She refused. That night, before surrendering her research, she hid a copy of the decoded parchment inside a hollow panel in Independence Hall, directly beneath the Liberty Bell. Then she left a note, unsigned. "The light belongs to everyone." The letter from nowhere. A week later, Elena received an unmarked envelope. Inside was a photograph, grainy, black and white. It showed George Washington's private study at Mount Vernon. On the desk sat a candle holder, ornate, silver, engraved with a serpent and the initials E.T. On the back of the photo, written in faded ink, "The flame never died, 1774.
Elena turned it over and gasped. The handwriting matched that of Clara Whitcomb, whose letters were preserved in the Franklin archives. But that was impossible. Clara had died in 1781. Unless someone had preserved her handwriting for generations. A lineage of light keepers, passing the secret flame through time. 9. The Modern Vault. 1 year later, at the 2022 Smithsonian exhibition, Founders and Codes, Elena gave a public lecture. She spoke not of spies or battles, but of ideas, how freedom itself was encoded into the fabric of America. As she concluded, she held up a small replica of the candle seal. The revolution, she said, wasn't only fought with muskets and courage. It was fought with light, knowledge carried in wax, words hidden in heat, truth preserved in symbols. After the talk, a man in a gray coat approached her. He handed her a small box and whispered, "For the keeper of light." Inside, a candle, unburned, stamped with the serpent sigil, and beneath it, a folded slip of paper. "The vault breathes again. C.W." 10. The Revelation. That night, Elena returned alone to Yorktown. She entered the old tunnels, now sealed off by steel gates. In her hand she carried the candle. At the chamber's center, she placed it on the same pedestal where the orb had rested centuries ago. She struck a match. The flame flickered, steady, golden, warm. Then, to her astonishment, faint lines of light appeared across the walls, invisible carvings that glowed under the candle's heat. The entire chamber transformed into a map of stars, geometry, and phrases in Latin, Greek, and English. At the center of the light pattern, words emerged. "We are the light keepers. Knowledge is the flame. Liberty is its shadow." Elena whispered, "Turner, Clara, Franklin, Washington, you weren't only founding a nation, you were building a code of consciousness." The Candleman's secret was never just political. It was philosophical, a reminder that freedom begins not in war, but in enlightenment. 11. Epilogue. The light endures. Months later, the chamber was resealed, protected as a National Heritage Site. But on clear nights, visitors near the York River claimed to see a faint orange glow beneath the soil, like a candle flickering below the earth. And at Independence Hall, during a 4th of July ceremony, a museum guard found a small note slipped beneath the Liberty Bell's railing, written in elegant 18th century handwriting. "The flame has been passed. Keepers of the light, stand watch. E.T. and C.W." No one could explain how ink from the 1700s had been freshly written. But Dr. Elena Brooks knew. Somewhere, somehow, the Candleman still guarded the flame. Final words, the light of the Republic. In every era, whether by wax or wire, candle or code, the same light endures, the belief that liberty is knowledge illuminated, and that even when darkness reigns, a single flame can awaken a nation. And so, beneath the soil of Yorktown, beneath the bricks of Boston, beneath the stars of a flag born in revolution, the cipher of freedom still burns.